What's up guys, Dan Furlani here and welcome back to a new video. In this video I would like to show you different ways you can shoot your videos using picture profiles, and I'm gonna show it to you with three different cameras: the Canon M50, the Canon 90D and the Canon EOS R. With the Canon M50 and the Canon 90D, I'm gonna show you one of the default picture profiles called Faithful. In my opinion, is one of the best for shooting like vlogs. If you're not into color grading, you just want something that looks good straight out of the box that you can use immediately. But if you would like a better dynamic range, I'm gonna show you also a different picture profile that you can download and install on the Canon 90D and the Canon M50, which is called Technicolor Cinestyle. This Cinestyle is a pretty good option when you have a camera that doesn't have a flat profile like the C-Log, and it's supposed to give you a better dynamic range. And then I'm going to show you also the Canon EOS R with the same default picture profile, the Faithful, and then with the C-Log. I'm going to start right away with the M50. So this is the Canon M50 with one of the default picture profiles. It's called Faithful, which in my opinion, if you're not into color grading or if you're a vlogger and you don't really have time to color grade your footage, this looks good enough. Yeah, good enough. But still, it's a default picture profile. So even though you try to expose it correctly, when you are outdoors, it's gonna be very difficult for you to expose everything like perfectly or decently, because you have to make a choice. Either you expose for the highlights, and in that case, the shadows will be lost, like all black, or you can expose for the shadows and then you lose the highlights. Everything would be blown out. When you shoot with a default picture profile, what you see is pretty much what you get, because you don't have much flexibility in post. All the information about the highlights and the shadows are lost. So you can try to download and install another picture profile, which is called Technicolor Cinestyle. It gives you a little bit more flexibility. It's kind of like a flat profile. I'm gonna show it to you right now. And this is it. This is Technicolor Cinestyle with the Canon M50. Of course, it's not a perfect flat picture profile, but it's something. When you use this Technicolor Cinestyle instead of a default picture profile, for sure you will get more information in the highlights and the shadows. But hey, it looks like crap. Yeah, this is what it looks like straight out of the box in your file when you record, but then you have to color grade it. And it looks like this. I mean, this is how I color graded it. You can make it look different, not necessarily like this, but what I'm saying, you have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to color grading. But now I'm gonna show you also the Canon 90D. Just one second. This is the Canon 90D with the default picture profile, Faithful, and I try to expose the shot the best I can. And this is what I got with this picture profile. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but again, what you see is what you get. You don't have flexibility to work it in post. And if the highlights are blown out or shadows are too dark, you're not gonna get them back in post. Now let's try to see what it looks like with Technicolor Cinestyle. Now the Canon 90D with Technicolor Cinestyle. Again, it doesn't look good because it's not color graded. Let's fix that. Now this is the Canon EOS R, and I'm using the same picture profile, the default picture profile called Faithful, that I used with the Canon M50 and with the Canon 90D. And this is what it looks like straight out of the box. As I said, when you shoot with the default picture profile, you can't really work it much in post. Now I'm gonna show you this camera, the Canon EOS R with the C-Log, which is a real flat profile by Canon. So this is what it looks like, the Canon EOS R when shooting in log, like C-Log. Tell me what you think about it. Again, leave a comment down below and hit the like button and subscribe if you ain't already. Okay, so what you have seen is what happens when you shoot using the Canon 90D, the Canon M50 and the Canon EOS R when you use a default picture profile, but not in a regular situation, but rather in very harsh conditions, because on my terrace the light wasn't really good. I mean, outside it was so bright, the sun so strong, but in the terrace it was almost completely dark. The sun was not hitting directly. So it was very difficult to expose everything decently without having to sacrifice either the highlights or the shadows. I tried to get a little bit of both. I also showed you that when you use a flat picture profile like Technicolor Cinestyle for the Canon M50 and the Canon 90D, the situation improves a lot. You get a little bit more dynamic range and you can get decent footage. You just have to be aware of the fact that if you're not into editing, if you're a vlogger, you don't have time for that, a default picture profile and the result you get might be really good when you are in an environment when you can control the lights, like in a studio or indoors or something like that. But when you are in a situation like you have seen on my terrace or outdoors, somewhere where in the same shot you have something really bright and something really dark, with a default picture profile, you're not gonna get a very good shot. So you have seen what a footage shot with Technicolor Cinestyle as a profile and color graded looks like. You also have seen the Canon EOS R with the same default picture profile and then with the C-Log. And of course there's a huge difference. Now let me know what you think about it. Just let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button and subscribe if you ain't already. Now just wanted to answer a couple of questions. Let's do it quick. So it's Q&A time. Okay, we have the first question from Paolo, one of the drones. Hi Dan, I have a question. I have an old and basic Nikon D3100 with two lenses, an 18-105 and 70-300, and I would like to start vlogging, so I need a new camera to shoot videos for YouTube. Would you recommend me to switch to a Canon and sell my lenses, or to buy another Nikon? I heard the Nikon is not good for vlogging. Is it true? What Canon camera would you recommend me? Well, you're not a beginner. My first answer would be like pretty straightforward, Canon. But why? When it comes to color science and autofocus, I know for sure 100% you'll be happy with it, because I know that with a Canon camera you will be more than happy with the colors you get. And also because of the autofocus. Also another reason is flip out screen. Nikon doesn't offer many cameras with a flip out screen, which is really important when you want to film yourself and make sure you're in frame and everything looks good. Color science, autofocus, flip out screen on most of the cameras. Go with Canon. Which one? You're not a beginner. I know you're very passionate about this thing and you really want to do it like seriously. Besides, you own a DJI Mavic 2 Pro. So also in a camera, you want good quality, right? You want great quality. Well then, I recommend you the Canon 90D. You'll be happy with it. But again, this is just my advice. Feel free to shop around and see Nikon, Sony or whatever, anything. Because choosing a camera, yeah, I can give you some advice, of course. But in the end, the final decision would be yours. It's also about personal tastes. Question number 2, Fabrizio Fab Sandler. Did I pronounce it right? I hope. What is the best camera to start to make vlogs? If you're a beginner and you never shot videos before, the Canon M50 is a great option because you have pretty much everything there. The quality is good, it's more than good for YouTube. Then, as you have seen in this video, if you're not happy with the default picture profiles, you can download the Cinestyle and go nuts in post with the color grading and things. Also, you have a flip out screen, again, which is really important, fundamental when it comes to filming yourself. And again, the overall quality is just great. I think in that price range, there is nothing like the Canon M50. So, but why a beginner should start with a cheap camera? Is because they're easier to use compared to more expensive cameras? No, there is another reason. It's because when you start doing something, you never tried it before. You don't want to go all out and spend all your money for something that maybe after a few months you realize it's not really for you. And then you leave it there on the floor in your camera bag and never use it because filming was not your thing. This is the reason why I suggested the Canon 90D to Paolo and the Canon M50 to Fabrizio. But don't get me wrong, the Canon M50 is still a great camera. For YouTube, it's more than enough. Next question from Michael Di Domenico. I'm looking into buying an EOS RP as an upgrade to my 80D. Is this a good move or should I stay with the 90D as the option? I'm mainly doing travel and family stills videos. Well, Michael, going from the Canon 80D to the 90D or the EOS RP would not be a huge upgrade in my opinion. The Canon 80D is a great camera. It's awesome. It's made history because of Casey Neistat and many others that followed. And it's more than enough for shooting stills and travel vlogs and things like that. I mean, if you think of the Canon 90D, what does it have more than the 80D? It has the 4K, 120 frames per second in 1080, and a bigger sensor. Even for stills, a bigger sensor doesn't make a huge difference unless you want to print your photos and make them really big, like posters. So if that's the case, yeah, it's worth going from the 80D to the 90D. Or if you want to shoot like slow motion, 120 frames per second, still without sound and without autofocus though. But if you do that, that'd be an upgrade. Or if you want to shoot 4K. But I don't know, it's totally up to you. Honestly, I don't see the EOS RP much better than the 80D to justify switching from the 80D to the EOS RP. I don't see it like a big game changer. The colors you get out of the RP might be a little bit different. I don't know if better or worse, but definitely different from the Canon 80D. It's not going to be sharper, it's not going to give you more features than the 80D. The natural upgrade would be the EOS R. And I understand it costs much more than the Canon 90D and the RP, but in my opinion, that would be the real upgrade from the Canon 80D. Not any other camera, but the EOS R. Well, that's just my opinion. Next question, Raleigh Rolls. I want to ask you about what you have done in life and how you were inspired to open a YouTube channel. Who is your bigger supporter in this? What's your channel target? And how you maintain everything? I answer right away. First of all, what I've done in life. If you watch my video where I interviewed Dan Mace, in the intro, I say pretty much everything. I used to be a fashion model and at the same time I studied. I graduated and I became a teacher. I taught at the University of Virginia for a while. Then I moved all over the world a little bit, like 3 continents, no rest. And I eventually ended up in Spain, Madrid, Spain. In the meantime, I kept practicing my passions, like doing sports, like bodybuilding, football, soccer, martial arts. I'm a Jeet Kune Do instructor, like kickboxing, Kung Fu, a little bit of everything. When I stopped modeling, I discovered a passion for cameras. So I've always been around cameras. I decided to open this YouTube channel, and first just to talk about bodybuilding because I'm very passionate about it. And then I switched slowly towards something that I'm even more passionate about, like cameras and gear. My biggest supporter, well, definitely my wife. She's very supportive in this, and that makes me really happy. So I hope I answered all your questions. Leave a comment down below if you have more questions. Hit the like button, subscribe if you ain't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.